Hello there, fantastic to see your wonderful face. It is quite wonderful. So as the video is titled Quitting, let me just say that I'm not quitting YouTube or anything. That's not what this video is about. It's more of the idea of quitting and what that means. And this is probably going to be a very meandering, tangent-filled video that might be a little bit long, and for that I apologize, but hopefully you'll stick it out with me, because we're going to talk about something a bit personal, which I know is a surprise since this is a personal channel. But I find that on the internet, a lot of times we generally just share the positive things, or we share maybe negative stuff, but in a humorous way, and this won't really be that. Life isn't just one part. There's multiple facets to it. There's multiple emotions, both good and bad, and I think it's important to be aware and to share all of those. So I'm gonna tell you a story about myself, basically about this year, and what this year was like, because I've talked a little bit about it, but never fully, really, and I feel like now that I can, because it feels like it's been bookended. So, you know, I posted this in the last video, and I posted it on social, but recently the doctors told me that I was cancer-free, which is very exciting, just to hear the words, just to get that, it's a relief, you know? After I talked to the doctor, I went back into my car, and it was the first time throughout this entire process that I cried. I just sat there and probably 10 minutes, just cried alone in my car in a parking garage. Because I felt relieved. I felt alive, you know? I just felt like this cloud that had been following me had been blown away. And I know obviously I still have to go in for tests throughout the years just to make sure, but still it felt good. And it made me feel, I don't know, it was like this block had been lifted, right? The floodgates had been opened up, and I was a ghost, and now I was alive again. Because I have a problem, and the problem is that I need to make stuff. I need to create things, or else I don't feel like I'm valuable. I don't feel worthwhile. I get very sad, and I just get a bit depressed, and that's how I felt this entire year. Partially and mostly because of all the treatments that I went through, but also just this, you know, it's like when you throw a rock in a pond and it just ripples, and those ripples were just kept coming, and I was still in the wake of those. And now I think they've dissipated, but still, it was difficult. So the year started off, I'd gotten out of the hospital, I was stuck at home, couldn't really walk, couldn't really do anything at all. I remember if I wanted to go downstairs to go to bed, I had to make my way to the staircase and then basically slide down the stairs, one step at a time on my butt, just keep going, and same if I wanted to go back up the stairs, and it was always painful, and it was always just embarrassing, because this is a thing that I should be able to do. I should be able to walk downstairs, but I couldn't. You know, if I wanted to take a shower, I had to sit in a chair in the bathroom, and my girlfriend at the time, Vanessa, would have to wash me with a washcloth, and it feels degrading, and you feel helpless and useless, no things that you really want to feel. And also I generally internalize all these things and kind of shut down emotionally, and it's difficult because you feel, not only was I a weight on myself creatively, but I was a weight on somebody else's life. You know, they shouldn't have to go through all this stuff. It's not their responsibility, but obviously people being people, when you're in a relationship, they do it because that's how they are, but still it doesn't change the way that it makes you feel. So, you know, radiation therapy, and I talked about it before in some videos, but I would go every single day at 1:15 p.m. I would go, and then after 1:15 p.m. I just wouldn't feel like doing anything for the rest of the day. It just zaps out all of your energy, all of your excitement and happiness is just gone. And it's this weird thing where in my mind, I'm like, I want to do stuff, but I just physically can't. You're unable to. Because I wanted to make stuff. You know, the first video I made was called 4 Logical Paradoxes this year in March. First video I made on Vsauce 3. I wanted to make that video in December. I had figured out all the music and the ending and all that stuff and the paradoxes I was going to talk about, but then all this cancer jazz came into my life and I just couldn't. So I sat on this idea and it just festered in my mind and I just wanted to make it. And when we did actually get to make it, it took me a week. It was probably the most difficult video I've ever made. Out of all the ones I've done, all the big things and crazy productions, it was the most difficult because we had to film it over multiple days. We'd film for like an hour on one day, and then I just couldn't film anymore. I just was exhausted. And it was a terrible thing to see. It's like being in a race and you're stuck in glue and you can see the finish line, you can see everyone else running past you, but you just can't move. You're stuck. No matter how hard you try, you're not getting free, and that's what it felt like. It was like I was in prison in my own body. And so we did that. All the radiation stuff ended. You're always the hardest on yourself, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't doing much. I just spent 3 months of the year, the first 3 months, not doing anything. I only made one piece of content. And so I wanted to do more, but there was still this fear that I had, this kind of stoppage, which was that I could die today. And the thing I thought about every single day for this entire year was am I going to die? Is this the last time I'm ever going to make a video? Is this the last time I'm ever going to brush my teeth or drive down this road or do this or do that? And I would think about it every single day. And it was just this constant reminder of how fragile I was, which I don't like. I love being independent and I love, doing everything myself, and I didn't have that. And I felt bad, most of all. But throughout this whole thing, where does this go in with quitting? That would have been an easy option, right? Just quit. Because I think this is a fear, and I don't think I'm alone with this one, is that, you go up to someone and you ask them out, and they say no, and then you feel bad and stupid, and you think that you should have never done it in the first place, that would have saved you all this agony. And that's, to a degree, how I felt. Should I be going through all these treatments and all these scans and doing all this stuff? Because if I get cancer again, and it's even worse, then I'll just die. So was everything leading up to that worthless if it just ends still in me dying? Obviously, there's two sides of the coin. You could ask someone out and they say yes, and then it was a success. I could survive because I tried, and then it was worth it. But it's still a thing that you think about, and it's difficult to really push through, I found. Anyway, there was that whole thing, and then, throughout the year, just trying to make content, because it's the most important thing to me, is making videos. Maybe it sounds stupid and trite, but it really is. It's the way that I best express myself, is with videos, because this is just verbal. It's just me speaking to you, talking about things that are in here, but when I make the videos on Vsauce, it's to me, it's more than that. It's a whole experience with music and the way that the camera moves and the way that the story's written, and it's an expression of myself. I'm talking about information or educational things, but the way that it's structured is a representation of me. It's how I feel in that moment. It's what I want to share with others, and that's very important to me. But if we're talking about quitting, I've quit a wide variety of things, and we're going to talk about the word quit and what it actually means. But a great example would be a show that I used to do called Fact Surgery. Fact Surgery was basically a stop motion animation show where I would disassemble consoles in stop motion and they would have facts inside of them. And I love stop motion. I think stop motion is the most beautiful form of animation. It is incredible. And the amount of time it takes to do it is mind-numbing. And the people that do it professionally are incredible. And I wish I was that good. But I did this show for a while, and then I stopped because I felt like it was never about the facts. That wasn't important to me. What was important was the art, was the actual process, was the things happening on screen. And I felt like that got lost a bit, and you do spend so much time. I'd be in a room alone for 24 hours just animating a Dreamcast console, and I felt like that part of it kind of just floated away, and that wasn't really what people wanted. They wanted the facts, so I stopped, and I want to do it again, but I used what I learned from that for future content. So when it comes to the word quit or quitting, I don't think it's really about quitting. It's about taking something and then you use that experience for something else. Every video I make on Vsauce 3, after I make it, I quit that topic. It's done now. Boom, gone. That one thing that I focused on is done. The style that I did it in is done, and I move on to something else, be it, doing Victorian style or doing a 1980s future retro style. All that stuff, I did it. It's gone now. I quit, in a sense. But from that, I've learned new things, new techniques that I can use towards future projects. And the same thing we can talk about with relationships. Obviously, my relationship didn't really work out. And I should just have a disclaimer, we still are friends and like each other, so there's no bad blood at all. That doesn't mean that you're a failure if it doesn't work out, right? It's a building that you're constructing with somebody else, and sometimes it doesn't come to fruition, it doesn't get completed. but you take what you learned from that, the bad and the good, and you apply it to something else, something new. Because now you have the insight. Now you have that, so you can create something hopefully better. So I don't like the word quitting. I like to think that it's not so much quitting as it is learning. It's just taking something and using it towards something else. You know, if I actually did just quit making videos and lived in a hole for the rest of my life, then yes, we could say I quit. I don't really know where this is going. It's a rambling mess. But I just wanted to share these things because I feel like it's maybe not important to you, but it's important to me, so they're not just in here anymore. And that's the great thing about this, is that I can say things that I just think about over and over and over again, and I can just get it out, and then I don't have to think about it anymore because it's somewhere else now. It's gone. It's like a Horcrux. But it's somewhere else. I do have one thing. If you made it this far, congratulations. Let me give you a new jam. If you're new to jams, Jam is a Just Awesome music playlist. It's like a digital mixtape from me to you. It's music that I've been listening to a lot, and this one was made specifically. I recently drove from Los Angeles to Colorado and back for Thanksgiving. So this is the playlist I made for that trip. If you want to listen to it, there is a YouTube playlist link right here, or there's a Spotify playlist link down in the description. And if you use a different music platform and you want to make a playlist for that, like Tidal or Apple Music, whatever, tweet me the playlist that you make, and then I'll add it in the description with credit to you, because that's very nice of you, and now others can listen to the music as well, so thank you. All right, thank you for this therapy session. It was very helpful for me, so thank you. And remember, it is not goodbye, oh no, and I can, pretty much guarantee this for a while. It is never goodbye. It's